Hello, hello, hello. I apologize for the delay to absolutely nobody. Welcome, Bike, to the headquarters. Welcome, Bike, to the channel. This is Big Dogs Gotta Eat, BDGE, Fantasy Football. My name is Nicholas. This is Saturday, so it is Q&A, questions and answers, although I think I have trademarked the phrase questions and assault. Q and assault Saturday, where I'm answering all of my questions from my Patreons, from the homies in the Discord. If you want to join the Discord, if you want to be in, I'm sorry for everyone's ear holes right now. If you want to be in the Discord, sign up on patreon.com/BDGE and you can come in here and ask your questions. So today, what we're going to do is run through the training camp reports that we've seen thus far. Okay, so I'm going to go, and what I'm going to do is go through Roto World. I'm going to share my screen with y'all. That ain't it. What's the other display? Skirt. Okay, I need to move these things around real quick. Hold on. Give me about 13 minutes. Nope, that's locked up. So we're going to go through training camp reports, and I'm going to tell you what I think is good, what I think is false, all the fake news that we're seeing thus far. Unlock those, move it over there. Go follow me on Twitter, on Instagram. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to switch this to offense, and we're basically just going to scroll through and look at which things I think matter and which things I think don't matter. Most of these are noise. Almost everything we hear are noise, okay? So I'm not going to sit here and just be like fake. I'm going to go through the ones that I think are important. Hayden Hurst, I think we knew that he was going to play an every down role. Traquan Smith could have a bigger role this season. Yeah, you should have had a bigger role last season too. I'm not drafting Traquan Smith. Let's see. What matters? Curtis Samuel dealing with a hamstring injury already. That's a problem. So why don't we touch on the injuries? First of all, the Miles Sanders, he should be in sandals for the rest of the preseason. Miles Sandals video I made last week. Everyone was like, you look like you were crying. You look like you were stressed out. I made that video mid-workout, okay? I just got done with a set of like 25 push-ups or something, turned on the microphone. I was out of breath. My face was red. I was physically stressed out. So, 1, fuck all y'all. 2, stop bullying me. 3, I was in the middle of working out. Of course it emotionally hurt me, but I was physically hurt as well. So, just needed to get that off my chest. Sorry. Curtis Samuel hamstring. DeAndre Hopkins is bike from his hamstring injury. The point of the Miles Sanders injury video was not to say that I'm like fading Miles Sanders right now. The point of it was to say that injury optimism is extremely real, and you shouldn't always take the word of everyone that is a beat reporter that sees a player in shorts. Like, I have people like, Miles Sanders is fine. The people saw him dancing after practice. Like, did you watch the video of him dancing? All he did was literally like hop up and down for once. I'm pretty sure someone with a torn ACL could have done the dance that he did. He might be fine. He might come back and be 100% by next week. I don't know. What I'm saying is, neither do you. When a team comes out and says someone is week to week, that needs to concern you when we're weeks out from the NFL season. So, we have Miles Sanders, hamstring pull, not back at practice yet. We have DeAndre Swift dealing with some sort of leg injury, some sort of lower body injury. Again, it's very vague, and these teams are getting fucking annoying. They're like not letting people report on the depth chart and who's the starters at camp and who's running with the ones and whatnot. So we're getting a lot less information than we typically would. During the preseason is when we get to see what these coaches really mean. When they're saying this guy's a starter, he's running with the ones, he looks great. Okay, if that's true, then we'll see him playing with the starter snaps. We're not going to get that. So we need to kind of take everything into context this summer, and it's very important. Now, with DeAndre Swift, listen, I can like a player as much as I like him. Like DeAndre Swift and Miles Sanders might have been my favorite running backs to target this year. Now I probably have to do a fucking DeAndre Swift type shift away from him if this injury is serious. We had carry on with the brace, so I'm like, okay, it's Swifty time. Now, assume best case scenario. We can't assume he's ready for the regular season. What I want to see out of these injured players, like Tyreek Hill is supposedly going to be back in camp in a couple days, right? If that's true, I need to see multiple full practices from a player for me to be confident in drafting him. It's not like someone suffers an injury right now and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, he's off my board. I'm not fucking animal. Off my board, off my board, off my board, off my board. Someone left a really funny comment being like, you got to relax because you got me looking like I'm doing a fucking ski slalom in the middle of the street. Anyways, it doesn't mean he's off my board, but I need to see him back at practice. Like DeAndre Hopkins is back at practice now. If he has 3 full practices in a row, I'm fine. He's over the hamstring injury. It's not going to be a problem injury-wise for me fading him, although I'm fading him for other reasons. So we have a lot of injuries. We have Tyreek Hill. We have DeAndre Swift. We have Miles Sanders. We have A.J. Green. We have all these players that are dealing with injuries. Darrell Henderson is a guy I talked about in the mock draft video this week, and now we're hearing the reports come out. I feel like I'm in my zone. I'm in my bag when it comes to fantasy now. In a good way. Like, I just keep predicting the future. It's hard goddamn work. Darrell Henderson has taken a step forward this season. He's been running with the ones. Him and Cam Akers have kind of been switching on and off. So Darrell Henderson is a guy I really expect to see split the work with Akers this year. And Akers is probably moving down my board a little bit. I just don't see a scenario in which he takes over all the work, especially not early on in the year. So 5th, 6th round is much too rich for me to take a guy like Akers, who's going to be behind a bad offensive line, even if he does get the lion's share of the work. But Darrell Henderson's a guy I'm starting to target in like the 12th, 13th round because I think he'll have a decent amount of standalone value there. And he's a big play guy, right? If you get him in space, if you get him to hit a hole, he can bust off a 50, 60-yard run. He did that all the time in college. Michael Pittman. We have T.Y. Hilton dealing with some kind of injury. He's supposed to be back soon, but we don't know. Michael Pittman ready to contribute. I went on a podcast the other day, and we were talking about rookie wide receivers and who I think is like a low-key, guy at the end of drafts, or a rookie that could contribute and be like amongst the leaders this year. And Michael Pittman was my answer. Like, they draft Michael Pittman really early. 2nd pick of the 2nd round. When you play 4 years in college and you get drafted, you're expected to contribute immediately, right? He's not like a young guy who's going to get acclimated. He's a big frame, 6'2", 220, really good speed score, good production his final year of college. So you draft him with the idea that he's going to come in and contribute right off the rip. So I think Michael Pittman has a really good chance in leading a lot of the statistical categories for rookies this year. KJ Hamler, hamstring, expected to miss weeks. This is expected to miss 4 weeks. Yeah, he's completely off my board. Like, that kind of report will get him completely off my board. J.K. Dobbins thinks it might be a weekly decision. Like, that is the most vague report of all time. We'll skip that one. Sony Michel might be ready, will be ready. Who the fuck knows? This is ridiculous. Anything else worth monitoring here? No. Dallas Goedert suffered a hairline fracture in one of his thumbs. I mean, I follow a lot of doctors, again, on Twitter, and most of them say this is not a concern for him. Not like, you should be drafting Goddard as like a top 8 or 10 tight end, but if he was your tight end too, maybe you just monitor this. I think he'll be fine, though. Keyshawn Vaughn slipping. Yes, we've been talking about Rojo for a while on this channel now. Keyshawn Vaughn is possibly contributing on special teams, which is not something you want to hear for someone who was supposedly going to take over the starting role from Rojo. Jared Stidham leg is battling I love that Cam is still such a value. Like, people see one report like, you think the fucking Patriots are going to split snaps at quarterback between Cam and Stidham? Like, it's just a ridiculous thing to believe. It makes no sense. Okay? So get those reports out of your head. Let's see. I don't want to go through these training camp reports anymore, to be honest. Jack Doyle believes the Colts system is great for tight ends, and then the next day we hear that Trey Burton is going to be a huge beneficiary in this offense. Like, okay. All this is just hype pieces. Everyone's just had a great camp. Everyone's just fucking amazing. Greg Ward is going to play a massive role, but also John Hightower is going to start in the slot. So actually, Jalen Reagor, Deshaun Jackson, Zach Ertz are going to be benched for John Hightower, Greg Ward. Zach Moss can have the season. What the fuck did I just read? Has been undersold. Yeah, I'm getting really high on Zach Moss. I'm gonna be honest with you. This report is a little bit concerning to me, to be honest, in terms of Melvin Gordon's role. So the more reports we hear come out about like just their usage of both Lindsey and Gordon and how they're just completely splitting snaps, I do think Melvin will get the majority of the valuable touches, which is why he's a guy that I like above that Todd Gurley range, that David Johnson range, like that tier of running backs. I like Melvin Gordon more because he's going to be the goal line back there and he's going to be the guy who catches a lot of passes. But this could definitely be like a real split. And it's probably making me fade Gordon in the third round. If he drops to the fourth, I could probably get on board with that. All right. Fuck it. Let's go back to Q&A. Question and assault. Q and assault. How we doing, people? Let me open up YouTube again. See where we're at. See who's yelling, who's not yelling. Why you yelling? The fuck? Minimize this. Okay. 109 in my redraft home league today. Okay, guys, I'm just gonna say I'm not gonna be answering any like straight up draft questions. All of my rankings are in my draft guide. Will Disley practicing in full, late round tight end. Man, I don't know. I've faded Will Disley the last 2 years, and I guess he like technically hasn't proven me wrong because he can't stay on the damn field. I feel like Greg Olsen is going to somehow lead this team in tight end catches. I like Jacob Hollister the most, but I feel like Greg Olsen's somehow going to end up being the guy and is going to eat into Will Disley. So I'm not getting on Will Disley. Is Chris Carson still considered risky? So, dude, there's just been conflicting reports. Like, he hasn't been at camp, but then they say it's not an injury-related thing, but the timetable's a little funky, but then he's been back at camp. So that's the situation I'm going to have to monitor, like, up until the hour of my fucking draft. Right now, I like Chris Carson a lot in the end of the third round or early fourth round just because the workload is just crazy there. Last year, he had 16 or more touches in 83% of the games. He had, I think, 24 or more touches in 50% of his games. They want him to be the workhorse, right? And Rashad Penny's not going to be back. So Carlos Hyde is a insurance play for the Seattle Seahawks, and I really like Chris Carson. What do you look for in a later round quarterback? Okay, so we finished up the must-own videos the last couple of weeks, and this week I'm going to do tight ends and quarterbacks. I'm not going to go round by round, but I'm going to do most must-own tight ends Monday. I'm going to do must-own quarterbacks on Tuesday. And what I look for in later round quarterbacks is rushing upside, deep ball prowess, and or the parts around you. So I think when you're like a mediocre quarterback, which is fantasy-wise, which is like 90% of quarterbacks, I think you need to look at you need to be like with Derek Carr, he's very much like the sum of his parts. The floor is going to be very high. He was 8th in the league in passing yards last year, and he's got a fantastic offensive line right now, a really good ground game, an underrated scheme in which their passing attack took a monster step up from year 1 to year 2, which is what we typically see with offensive coordinators and new head coaches, as in Jay Gruden. And now he's got a really good group of weapons that offers a variety of ways to kill a defense. So I think Derek Carr is a guy that I will be buying into. And then Gardner Minshew. He's got the rushing upside. He was really accurate on his deep balls last year. Love the addition of Laviska Shenault. I love Jay Gruden coming in. And looking at his rushing numbers, I mean, everyone who had the number of rushing yards that he did or more last year had at least 4 scores on the ground. So I think what we might see in like a pullback from passing, right? Like I doubt he'll go 21-6 touchdown interception ratio. Like the efficiency was really high last year just on a raw number basis. But what he misses in that, I think he'll more than make up for in the rushing yardage totals, the pass attempts, just pure volume, and rushing scores. So we look for guys that have rushing yardage plus deep ball prowess like Minshew, and we look at guys who are a really good like sum of their parts play like Derek Carr. Drop a fake like, fellas. Correct. Hit that thumbs up. I can't believe there's people in my Discord that give me a thumbs down. If you gave me the thumbs down, get the fuck out the Discord. Are you at all worried about the Titans' offense, especially for Derrick Henry? Their offensive line was bad last year and don't have a starting caliber right tackle. That's a good question, Dominic. Like, it's one of those things where I'm not gonna get too cute with it. I'm not gonna get too cute with Derrick Henry, at least, because their rushing offensive line was very good last year. Like, in terms of run blocking, they were amongst the top 5 in the league. Yes, losing Jack Conklin's going to be a hit, but they replaced it with a first-round tackle. Their pass blocking per Football Outsiders last year was dead last in the NFL, and I don't think that's being talked about enough. So that does worry me. But again, I'm not going to get too cute with Derrick Henry, because he is going to touch the ball 400 times, and he has that big playability at any given point. I also want to get this on the record. I'm pretty sure that my love for Anthony McFarland, like this year's Justice Hill, the way I loved Justice Hill last year, Anthony McFarland is going to be that for me this year. Like a guy, 4th-round running back, good offense, ambiguous backfield with a path to touches, and just nothing happens. That's what I'm pretty sure is going to happen with Anthony McFarland. So I'm going to stop drafting him, to be honest. I own way too much of him in best ball drafts. Boop, boo. Dynasty, full PPR, 4-point per passing touchdown. Christopher Dunning, Lamar and Mark Andrews, or Mahomes and Kelsey. Dynasty, full PPR. I mean, it's just a lateral move. I don't know why people like always want to trade laterally. Like, do I trade C-Mac for Saquon? It's just like, fucking, who cares? Who fucking cares? Dynasty, I would rather probably take Mahomes and Kelsey. I think that I would rather take Mahomes straight up over Lamar in a Dynasty league. I think his longevity is probably more suited for this league, because eventually what the teams against, like, you can't stop Lamar Jackson, but teams against Lamar Jackson, against the Ravens, can have a defense where the only thing they focus on is Lamar Jackson, right? Where maybe they do something unprecedented where they just put two QB spies on Lamar Jackson, and they have trouble beating him that way. I think, like, over the years, like the long term, Lamar Jackson is going to be very hard pressed to keep up this elite level of play. Whereas Mahomes, like, there's just no stopping a guy who's actually that explosive from the backfield in terms of like throwing arm. So I'll take Mahomes. I mean, straight up, I would probably take Andrews over Kelsey in a dynasty league, but they're talking about Kelsey getting this extension, and if Kelsey and Mahomes are locked up for the next 4 or 5 years, fucking throw it in the bucket. Throw it in the bucket. How much do you value Washington receivers have, specifically McLaurin and Sims? Yeah, it's McLaurin, and then it's nobody else for me. At least McLaurin is, like, proven. Like, we want to talk about how we're nervous about McLaurin having a shitty quarterback situation where, dude, Alex Smith is going to take that job, huh? You see that video of, like, them two throwing together, and Dwayne Haskins just, like, shoots a fucking lob ball over the receiver's head, and Smith fires a seed right to his pass catcher. It looked ugly. It looked bad. But we don't know the context behind, like, maybe he was asked to float the ball. Either way, it was fucking ugly. But, yeah, it's like we have the quarterback question, so I'm not going further than McLaurin in this passing offense. Mm-hmm. Are you actively trying to buy Brian Hill? If so, what would be needed to even it out with Boston Scott? I mean, I'm not actively trying to buy Brian Hill per se. He's a guy that I'm taking shares of in best ball in the 17th, 18th round. He's a guy that if he was like on your waiver wire, I'm definitely blowing a lot of fab on him. I would take Boston Scott over Brian Hill in Dynasty for sure. I'd say like Boston Scott and maybe like a late rookie pick. See if you can get like Boston Scott or Brian Hill in the third or late third plus late third Brian Hill for Boston Scott or backwards, etc. Y'all know what the fuck I mean. Heavily invested in Pittman. What do you think odds are he is a bust? I mean, it's probably like 50-50, but he was a late breakout guy. That's the problem. It's like it took him till his senior year to really have that season, which is always a red flag when it comes to college wide receivers. You want to see them break out early. Because usually that translates to the NFL, right? If you're able to dominate in college at the age of 18, where you're playing against 20 and 21-year-old kids who have already fucking hit puberty, hit their growth spurt, fully matured as men, and you're still fucking 18, living out of your mama's basement, there's probably something there. That tells you that your raw talent is head over heels better than most people on the field. So, Pittman is one of those guys who broke out late, which is red flag. But the amount that they invested into him, what I think personally, I think he's really talented, and I think they're going to force him into that number one role after T.Y. Hilton's gone. So I feel good about Pittman. Thoughts on Le'Veon Bell with Gase's praise? Yeah, I would rather take the 10 praises that he didn't say prior to this one thing about him being in shape, about how he's going to lighten Le'Veon Bell's workload. Like, that's all I needed to hear. That Adam Gase came out and was like, we're looking to lighten Le'Veon Bell's workload. Like, that's it. I don't want Bell. If you could be one player in the NFL, who would you be? Probably Saquon, bro. I would have to look into Saquon's just a savage, bro. Like, the way he's built, he's like 23 years old, good looking dude. Like, he's got the entire world in front of him. So it would probably be Saquon, but I think he's like married, so that I don't know if that would be too fun, or at least engaged or some shit. What is your oldest dynasty league, and have you won a dynasty league yet? My oldest dynasty league is like 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to say maybe 4 or 5 years old. And yes, I have won a dynasty championship. Is Nikhil Harry the new Corey Davis? This Nikhil Harry experiment is going to be really fucking interesting this year. I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be fine. But that's a good comparison. I could see it happening. I just think as a prospect, he was just too good. Like, there was just no red flags there. And I think the matchup with him and Cam is going to be great. Plus, I heard Julian Edelman got hurt, so I don't know if Julian Edelman is healthy right now. Are you actively trying to draft running back, wide receiver, handcuffs, and redraft with COVID, or the opposite? So I don't really think there's a such thing as a wide receiver handcuff. I would say like Mecole Hardman would be maybe the only handcuff in the NFL. He's like directly correlated to Tyreek Hill. Even when you look back at, not just from like a me saying that because I think they're a similar player. When you literally look back at last year, Mecole's only like useful games came when Tyreek Hill was gone. As soon as Tyreek Hill came back on the field, he went from like wide receiver 1 to wide receiver 4 directly. So I think Mecole makes sense, but he's someone that you have to draft in like the 7th, 8th round. I'm completely off him at that price. With running backs, yes, I will be looking to draft handcuffs and redraft. You need to use that term like very correctly though. Like, just because you think a guy is the number 2 in a backfield doesn't make him the handcuff. There are a lot of guys where if the starting running back went down, the second guy up wouldn't become the same volume player that the first guy up became or was. He would just become a committee back, okay? So when you have guys like Zeke, you want to get Tony Pollard because we know if Zeke gets COVID again or if he's out or he misses time, whatever, Tony Pollard's going to get the workhorse touches. Same thing with any of those workhorse backs like the Madison to Dalvin Cook, et cetera, et cetera. How do you move on from your ex? I mean, listen, time heals all, as they say, but on a more practical note, you need to focus on things that you enjoy doing. Like you're going to be at your rawest, like your very rawest moments when you're going through a breakup. And I think that's a really good time to do some introspective work because you can go really deep during those emotional times in your life, and it's very difficult. Like you come to those points in your life very few and far between when you're going through something like very emotionally stressful, and it unlocks a piece of you inside that you normally don't have the key to get inside that far. So I think when those moments come around, rather than looking at it as a negative or like a depressing moment, you go in there and you figure out like, why does this shit hurt so bad? Like, what is it that I'm going to be missing from this person? and it always comes back to you. It's a you thing. It's like I'm hurting inside, not because the other person is leaving, but because I feel like I'm missing something now. So you try to get inside and during those moments that are really tough, figure out what it is and try to work on that. So be like very aware of what it is that's bothering you. I also think that like focusing on things that you really enjoy will help you fill the time in between the breakup and whatever the next thing in your life ends up being. Like, don't focus on people, focus on things that you enjoy. And ironically, you'll meet people that also enjoy the same shit. And you'll meet someone that's more similar to you than probably your ex. I hope that wasn't too deep, but yes, it's a situation that's shitty, and I don't wish heartbreak upon anybody. But life will go on, and you need to try to find ways to cope with it. I actually put a vlog out like 2 years ago after a breakup of mine, which was semi-embarrassing, but very raw and very real. So if you want my perspective on that for real, just type in on Google, like YouTube, Nick Ercolano breakup vlog or some shit like that. Yeah, I'm kind of embarrassed about it. Okay, could you see Mark Andrews have big tight end 1 numbers if he gets the same snap share as Kittle and Kelsey, especially now that Hayden Hurst is gone? Yeah, so I actually just filmed. So Monday's video is going to be my must-own tight end videos, and Mark Andrews was the first guy on that list. I just filmed it about an hour ago, and one of the things I said was I would not be surprised whatsoever if Andrews finished the year as a tight end 1. His hog rate in terms of like the targets that he saw relative to his snaps was number 1 in the NFL. He led, listen to this, he led the NFL tight ends in deep targets. He had 20 deep targets last year, despite playing on 41% of the snaps. He gets the most valuable targets that you could possibly get, the downfield and the red zone. So all these people talking about like, oh, he's got to regress. It's like the volume's going to go up, and he's still the guy who gets the most valuable touches in that offense. So yeah, I could easily see a path to Mark Andrews being the tight end 1 this year. Who would you rather have in your Dynasty half PPR 12-team? I don't know what a TEP league means. Oh, tight end premium. I've never heard that before. A little TEP action. Burrow plus Rojo or Miles Sanders plus Claypool? Okay, so we have... you didn't include the most like crucial part of that. I don't know if it's super flex or not. Nick wants those quads and I do, bro. I do. I was doing fucking pistol squats on the rooftop this morning. My quads are there. This part of my leg is there. I just have small calves. All right? So fuck off. If you could be any woman, who would it be? I would be Rosie No, I wouldn't. Yeah, I'd be Rosie O'Donnell. She's a lesbian, and whoever Rosie O'Donnell is with is probably smoking. Who's won the most chips in E-Town? Get down. I have 3, but I haven't won in like 5 years, maybe even 6. So I need to pull it back. I lost in the chip last year. Fucking Stevie One Chains took me down. It was bullshit. Which coach gets fired first this year? Has to be Gase. Good question. I would say Gase. I don't put it past Dan Quinn to get fired too. Don't put it past Dan Quinn to get his ass fired. He should have been fired halfway through last year. They pulled off that like fucking win streak at the end of the season. They were like, we're playing for Dan Quinn now. It's like, fuck you. Do that from the beginning of the season. What are you doing down there in Atlanta? So if they get off to a rough start, I'm not actually sure what. Let me see what the Falcons' schedule looks like. They play the Seahawks, the Cowboys, the Bears, the Packers, the Panthers, the Vikings. Like, it's totally conceivable. It's not likely, but it's conceivable that we start off the season 0-4. Seahawks, Cowboys, Bears, Packers. I mean, it's just as likely we start off 2-2 or 3-1, but those are all like really solid mid teams. No way we lose to the Panthers at home week 5. Vikings on the road. Like, we could start off 1-5. We could start off 2-4, and Quinn will be on a shaky fucking bridge. Dr. Ercolano in the building. I told you, bro. I'm just technically a doctor. Getting deep. Listen. Old soul in a young man's body. I'm a very young soul. I'm a very young soul with an old brain, I would say. And it's only because I take a lot of risks and I take a lot of chances in my life. And I don't mean that to like brag. I just mean I'm usually out of a fucking idiotic place. But that also comes with a lot of experience. Okay? So the reason I feel like I can relate to a lot of things on an emotional or mental level is only because I fucked them up a lot in my life. Okay? Like that kind of breakup advice only comes from having broken up with or gotten broken up with about a zillion times. Okay? So that stinks. Okay, Nick, what thing do you wish you had but you can't because you live in an apartment in Manhattan? Mine would be a grill smoker. Yeah, I do. I'm not like a grill guy, to be honest with you. Few and far between. I think like grilling is really fun if you're like with your friends and you have a good place outside to do it during the summer. So grill, I definitely miss. I miss driving. I love driving, just like listening to podcasts or just jamming out to music in the car. That's one of my favorite things in the world. What else do I miss here? I miss the woods. I miss just like nature. There's no nature in the city, obviously. I love walking around the city because it's always exciting and there's a lot of energy here. But I definitely miss like straight up just like trees and grass. I miss this is weird, but like grasshoppers at night. Like I used to love walking home in my town, very suburban town. Like when you're walking home, a little buzz from a house party or something, and you hear the crickets, I should say, not fucking grasshoppers. And you hear the crickets chirping. Like I really miss that feeling for whatever weird reason. Is the British chick axed? No, so I'm actually not going to get into that. Stop trying to fucking pull me in, Marty. Just listen to Blonde by Frank Ocean and cry for 3 hours. All right, yo. One piece of advice I would strongly recommend against is don't listen to sad music, dude. Do not listen to sad music. Sad music will make you sadder, okay? I've had to learn that lesson like 200 times. I got a feels playlist on my Spotify with like 300 songs, like all really sad songs, and every time I'm sad, I listen to it and it makes me way more sad. So don't do that. Do you think Fournette is efficient this year because it's a contract year? Yeah, here's the thing about the contract year narrative. It's fucking bullshit. They've already people have done the research. The contract year narrative is fake news. It's fake news to fill a blog post or to fill some bullshit argument. There's no such thing. He'll be efficient this year if he's good. He's not going to be efficient. He's not going to be like, oh, I'm going to make this guy miss because it's a contract year. But if it wasn't a contract year, if I already had the fucking bag, I'm not going to make this guy miss. Like that ain't how NFL players operate. You got a split-second decision when you're on the field, and you're either good or you're not. You either got the fast twitch fibers or you got them fucking slow twitch fibers, all right? It's got nothing to do with a contract year. That narrative needs to fucking get broken up with. Let's go fucking break that narrative's heart. Okay, so now we have the Superflex question. Hugo, you answered it. Thank you. Who would you rather have in your dynasty? Half PPR, Superflex, 12-team, tight end premium, lock it down, Burrow and Rojo, or Miles Sanders and Claypool? I'm going to take Burrow and Rojo. It is closer, though. I'm not a big fan of Claypool. This question would obviously be altered if he got the tight end status in any of the leagues or the platforms or whatever, but I think we're far away from doing that. So I would listen, Miles Sanders is a guy I love for a redraft this year, but I'll be honest, I'm not like ultra high on him for dynasty. I think this is one of those players where like these kind of years are so easy to see coming, just like the perfect storm of talent, opportunity, situation where things could very easily fall off the following year. And I think Sanders is fine. I think he'll be a very good running back for a while, but this year right now is like the Aaron Jones year he could have, where the following year, like one bad thing gets mixed into the equation and all of a sudden his value spikes. Even though he's a 24, 25-year-old running back, Jones, Sanders, in a good team, a good situation, but this is the year to have Miles Sanders. Same thing with Rojo, though. Rojo can fall off after the next year, but the fact that you're getting like a top 15 running back for this year, which is what Rojo and Sanders should be, plus Burrow in the Superflex dynasty, if you could live anywhere else in the country, where would it be? It's San Diego, hands down, for sure. I honestly expected to live in San Diego at least for like a year or two before I turn 30. I don't think that's going to happen. I love Manhattan too much, but there are very, very few places in the country I could see myself living. I've traveled a lot domestically. I've traveled to a lot of like the cities that are considered like cool and fun. And every time I'm left like, I always have a great time, but I'm left underwhelmed every time. I'm like, it's cool. Like every city has like their financial district and they have their like bar spot and like some fun areas and stuff. But it's just like a small portion of what that city is. And if you've never been to Manhattan or New York City, it's literally that, but for like miles and miles and miles. And you just never know what the fuck is going to happen on a given day or night. So I will always have like way too much love for New York. And I could honestly, I don't know if I'll ever move out of Manhattan now that I'm here. But I do love San Diego. If I need to like, if I go off the rails, like, it's very possible that I like end up in rehab. I go off the rails in like 5 years from now. If I need like a year or two to relax and get my head straight again, it will probably be in San Diego and not in New York. I'm just kidding, by the way. I won't end up in rehab. I only do the non-addictive drugs. What's the next tat going to be? That's a good question. I don't know. I went to this club or this bar called the Pineapple Club last weekend, and they said when they have their grand opening, when COVID's done, they're going to be hiring a tattoo artist to give away free pineapple tattoos on their grand opening. And if they do that, I'm 100% going back to get that. So that could be it. Patricia has to be in the running too. Team can't stand him. Yeah, the thing with Patricia is I feel like they like him. I feel like the front office likes him, and they were like good last year prior to Matt Stafford getting hurt. So I would have liked to see how that team played out had Stafford not gone out. So it'll be interesting to see how this season plays out. I don't think Patricia's a guy that'll get axed mid-year. Did you see the Sean Payton interview talking about COVID in the NFL and if the NFL should have hard bubbles like the NBA? No, I did not see that interview. Is it okay to fade the entire Texans receiving group? I don't see anyone with wide receiver one potential. That's I don't know. This is something I've struggled with. Like I've just been kind of going on and off in drafts, like fading the receiving group altogether, taking one of Cooks, one of Fuller if they drop the value. They're not guys. I'll say this: they're not guys I'm targeting. They're not guys I want to go out and actively pursue. But if they fall to me at value, I'm okay taking them. That's the lookout. That's the outlook I have on a lot of players. If I don't feel strongly about them, I won't just target them for the sake of doing it. But if they fall to me at value, I'm okay taking them. Will Gronk be a top 5 tight end? No, I honestly think Gronk is going to be used not sparingly, but he's not going to be. He's going to get like a Mark Andrews type snap percentage, I think, from last year. Like he'll be on the field for 45 to 50% of the snaps. And if you're drafting a tight end that's top 10 or at least ADP top 10. I'm looking for a full-time player. Like there are going to be guys that are getting drafted behind him that are going to be on the field almost double the number of snaps that he is. I think he really is going to split time with O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate. And it's possible that if his efficiency is really fucking high like Mark Andrews is, then he returns a year like that. But Mark Andrews was competing with nobody for targets last year while Bucs are full of pass catchers. Post your Fields playlist, share with the Discord. I will after this. You could follow me on Spotify. I think I have all my playlists as public. Probably also misses not being surrounded by a high concentration of crazy people at all times. To be honest with you, Marty, I love it. I love like having people around all the time. Suburbs it gives you like a hint of loneliness. Can give you like a nice calming feeling at times, but if I'm alone for too long, I get kind of lonely. Thus the definition of fucking lonely. That's what like thrives me, having people around all the time. Or makes me thrive, makes me energetic. How do you feel about the Washington backfield? I have no real thoughts about it. I will continue taking Adrian Peterson in the 14th round of best ball drafts, though. He's going to get 200 touches this year. How's the trend on your draft guide sales compared to the previous years? Thinking of that video you did where you broke down the revenue of big dogs. Actually, in the vlog I dropped on Thursday night, I talked about it. We've already sold more copies this year than we did last year, despite growth and numbers dropping off because of COVID and things. So, it's doing well. Best new podcast recommendations. So one of the podcasts I linked on my Twitter today was the one between Edwin of Fantasy Points, and he actually had like a doctor who specializes in what's going on with COVID. It gives a really good simple breakdown, like understanding the disease relative to like athletes and normal people and things like that. So if you go on my Twitter at Nick_BDGE, you look at one of my last tweets, I linked a podcast that was really, really interesting. Where are you from? I grew up I was born in Brooklyn. I grew up in Jersey, and then moved back to Brooklyn last year, and I've been in Manhattan since. Marty's acting like he didn't know that. Does Kenyon Drake fit the mold of a perfect storm running back? Yeah, like if he's going to have a fucking storm, this is when it will be, of course. I'm getting a little bit higher on Drake just because a lot of people that I respect really like him, and they're talking about getting him the ball in space like often during camp. But I'll continue to roster Chase Edmonds. I think there's a very, very clear path to Kenyon Drake not ending the year as a workhorse. Somewhere in like 10 to 11 carries a game and, 4 to 5 targets, which could be good enough to return like high-end RB2 numbers. Yeah, I fuck with the Gaslight District. Gaslight's really fun in Diego. Any plans of taking Fade the Public on the road for any games next season? I almost bought a van when I lived in Brooklyn. I was so close, and I was like, we're going to use, but I have nowhere to park it. So I don't know, but maybe we'll go on the road at some point. I think we did talk about. We talked about 1 year trying to hit every NFL stadium, like figure out who in our audience has season tickets to each stadium, and then go visit you guys, and also like crash on your floors. Can we get Fade the Public 2 days a week? No. The reason you love Fade the Public so much is because our editors work so hard on it, and we don't have the bandwidth to put out 2 episodes a week. Plus, I can't do that with Snacks and Animal 2 days a week. I'll fucking blow my head off. Anthony Lynn, dark horse, to lose his new job soon. I don't hate that. I kind of like Anthony Lynn, though. But, yeah, they seem like a team who's just going to be stuck in mediocrity for about 17 years. Will HQ2 have a bar open to the public? Yeah, that'll probably be something we implement. I mean, my refrigerator is basically a bar. Just not technically. Could you see big dogs going more national, having multiple cities with content like a Barstool or other sports podcast platforms? No. We won't go, like, in terms of creating content, I like to have my hand in most things. I guess actually, thinking about like Animal's House and bunk bed breakdowns and shit, like, I don't know. I don't think I would ever just like randomly give people content without that coming naturally. Like the reason Noah and Mike have their own thing now is because I've been doing videos with Noah for like 2 years, and I was like, okay, I'm going to give this to you, but I wouldn't randomly be like, oh, we're hiring people in Boston to make videos. So I would need to like know the person really personally and also have some kind of work background with them. So if that does happen, it would be over a very long span. Nick, was I in a frat? No, I was not. I would have been if I went to a big university, though. Do a collab with the fantasy football counselor. I've had him on my channel before. I had fantasy football counselor on my channel before. It was cool to have him on your fucking channel. Skirt. Give me one guy a contender should go after sneakily. Jared Cook. Jared motherfucking Cook. Later, Jan. Jan Steen. What is your favorite sport to play? It depends like how competitive you mean. I love playing basketball. Like I like if you got a good pickup game with your friends, I'm in. Softball is like one of those things where in order for you to play, you need to have like an organized league going. So I'm a little less bullish on that. So basketball is good. Like if you can actually get a pickup game of football going, I think football is like my most fun sport to actually play. What else? Ping pong. Ping pong is my number one, but I don't know if you would count that as a sport. I love playing ping pong. Will Herbert start this year? Yes, he will. I think Herbert starts 6 games. Number 1 Blink song. First date. Are you a fan of the pre-booty call text? For example, you know you're hitting the club, but you know this girl is staying in. Send a text around a 7 to feel out the situation. No, that's too early, I think. Like you have to know that girl is in love with you first. If you're that's a risky text to send, because you're making plans for 6 hours later, and if that works out, you're assuming that she's like relying on you to come over 6 hours later. If you're gonna do that, it's more of like a at the club text. So like, oh, hey, I'm like out right now, but I'm probably going home in like an hour or 2. What's up? I think closer to the actual plans is better, in my opinion. Would you be surprised if the Cardinals were the 2019 Browns 2.0? Yeah, I would be surprised. I think the Cardinals will be a much better team from an NFL standpoint this year. I think the Browns hype got crazy for the wrong reasons. Like everyone was like, Freddie Kitchens was so good in like a fucking 6-game sample size. It was like, no, he wasn't though. When is Stevie One Chain going to make an appearance on the channel again? I'm pretty sure he's buying a microphone to appear regularly on Animal's House. So he should be there. I mean, he'll obviously be at the E-Town Get Down live draft. He's just I don't know like what capacity we could really use him in right now, because we don't do many like skits. We are probably going to have Snacks and Animal play a one-on-one game and have Stevie One Chains be the special guest referee. So that could be good. DJ Moore, D-Hop for Dynasty. It's DJ Moore for me. Yeah, because Marty, here's the thing. Like, if you text her that early and be like, I'm going out, like, what are you doing later? That's nothing but a booty call. Like, she knows that. She's like, oh, he's going out, getting drunk, and then wants to use me for a booty call. If you text her closer to the plans, it's more like, oh, I was thinking about you. What are you doing right now? You know? Or at least you can convince her of that. The E-Town Get Down draft is September 7th. It's always the Monday of Labor Day weekend, that night. Is Miles Sanders still your second round must draft running back, even though he's week to week right now? If he drops to the second round, yeah. Was good for the weekend. I don't have plans for tonight. I didn't really do shit last night. It's tough when I have to get those Monday, Tuesday videos out because I have to film them on Saturdays and edit them on Sunday and shit. So it gets a little hectic. I'll probably, I don't know. I might go out for some drinks after this, but every time I do that now, every time like my friends are like, yo, let's go out on Saturday, we end up starting to drink like right after I get off Q&A with you guys, and it ends up turning into a shit show. I'm just like, I don't have fucking energy for that right now, to be honest. That being said, that's exactly what my day is going to end up being. If Fournette is an RB1 this year, can you make a video where you apologize for Fournette? Yeah, dude, to be 100% honest with you, my favorite parts about the fantasy season are like learning what I fucked up. I'm not even excited to play in fantasy. I'm excited to see where my analysis goes wrong and like how I can use it for the next year. It's weird, but like I love being wrong about shit so that I can know how to put that into like next year's videos and next year's content. So like obviously I don't want to be wrong, but like I'm excited to see why I was wrong in my process for things. Because I feel like I've gotten to a point where my process for evaluating players for fantasy at least has gotten really fucking crispy compared to other people in the fantasy industry. I feel like a lot of people just recycle the same shit and are not looking at the right things. And I feel like I've gotten to a point where I have, and I'm excited to see how this year plays out. And I hope it's not completely ruined by like the whole, COVID thing and just shit turns into a shit show where offensive lines and running backs are going down left and right and we can't really get a clear picture of it. But I'm really excited to see how, Fournette, Gurley, David Johnson, and those guys fare this year because I'm either going to look really smart or really fucking dumb afterwards. How did Animal and Snacks get their nickname? To be honest, before like the first filming of Fade the Public, I just asked them. I was like, what do you want your nicknames to be for the show? This is going to be forever. And that's what they said. Animal, I'm pretty sure got it back in high school because Animal was a fucking animal. He was like really a beast in high school. He was like ripped. He was jacked. My sister graduated high school with him, and she said she can vouch that he drank an entire 30 case of beer in one night at a party. Animal like really earned that nickname back in the day, despite what you see him as now. And Snacks just really loves snacks. He's just always eating snacks. Nick, what trades drops still haunt you? Good question. I'm trying to think off. One horrible trade I made with Mike Me Up, Bunk Bed Breakdowns host, last offseason was trading. I got Miles Sanders in the rookie draft at like 103 or 104, and I traded Miles Sanders and like a second round pick or like a quarterback in a one quarterback league for Kerryon Johnson. So that's looking fucking miserable right now. I also traded a first round pick. I think it was to Scott maybe. A first round pick for Darius Geis this offseason. And then Mike offered me like 2 weeks ago 2/3 and a fourth for Darius Geis, which I had to think on. And I went back to accept it. And then he had canceled the trade by then. And now the news about Geis is out. So that's shitty. In Superflex Dynasty Leagues, who are the quarterbacks worth rostering? Damn, I did an entire Q&A video on this. You're going to have to go back and try to find where it was. Every Monday I did a Q&A for a while. So go back to the Monday videos. I think it's only like 7 or 8 away at this point. Go back to maybe June. Try late May, June. I did like a 20, 25-minute section on Superflex Dynasty quarterbacks worth rostering as like handcuffs. Yeah, it was definitely Keystone. Keystone was all we drank. We used to be so corny. We used to like tweet out hashtag Keystone or die when we were like 18. It's embarrassing. Guys still restorable in Dynasty. I mean, I'm going to keep them just because I have them and there's no trade offers on the market. But like if anything trade-wise comes your way, I'm accepting it. What's the go-to wine? I don't drink wine really enough to say anything that's not really ignorant sounding right now. I like white wine. I don't like red. There are certain things that I've just tried to like over and over again in my life that I want to like, but I just can't. And I've accepted the fact that I don't like it. Red wine is one of them. Green tea is one of them. Reading is one of them. Like these are just things that I know I should enjoy, like I'm supposed to enjoy. I just can't do it. Yo, Hugo, I already answered that question for you, dog. I said Burrow and Miles. Favorite basketball team? I was a diehard Oklahoma City Thunder fan for a long time. I road tripped out with a couple of my friends down to Oklahoma City from New Jersey when we were like 18 or 19. We used fake IDs for the whole trip. It was fucking awesome. We went to see the Thunder play twice. And then I kind of slowly started to fade away from basketball. I loved Kevin Durant in college. I was a huge University of Texas fan, football and basketball. So I loved KD. I got to see him play in MSG, and he came up and like signed my hat and shit after the game. He was sitting right next to me. So I followed him into the NBA. So I was a huge Thunder fan, and then he left, and I was like, fuck that. Yeah, you know what happens? I buy books, and I'm like, I should read these, and then I just don't. I get like 5 minutes into it. And then I don't. Like, I didn't read those. I didn't buy those for show. I really bought those with the intention of reading them. But I just won't do it. Which guy in the quarterback 7 to 12 tier do you like the most? Carson Wentz. Sleeper and bust White Claw. Sleeper is Lemon. Lemon, big time sleeper. Big fan of Lemon. Bust, I would say, is... I feel like the whole first variety pack was kind of shitty. What's the go-to first date when you want to make an impression? Well, it depends what kind of impression you're trying to make. I think typically what worked really well during the pandemic was just going to Central Park. If I wanted to meet a date somewhere, just being like, meet me at the park. I'll bring some a backpack, a cooler or something full of drinks. We'll get a blanket and we'll just hang out there. That's just endless entertainment. It's endless people watching. You're out in the environment. Like, it's fucking fantastic. Otherwise, I'll just usually meet for drinks somewhere at a good Mexican restaurant. More so just because I want a margarita. So I get to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I never try to go too fancy on first dates. I feel like it's weird. Of course, this man is dating during a pandemic. I'll be honest, bro. Like, dating during the pandemic might have been the easiest time to date. Everyone else is pulling back. Everyone else is like, we can't date during this time. I'm like, more opportunity for me. More ops for me. We got the Jordan Howards getting out of the Philly backfield. Miles Sanders gets all the touch. I'm the Miles Sanders of the pandemic dating game. That's what I would say. Nick, your thoughts on drafting? When you're going to get a dog? Dude, I could barely... I could barely take care of myself. I can't put that responsibility on me. As much as I want to get a dog, it's not happening in the near future. Nick, your thoughts on drafting from the 102 if none of the second round running backs get back to you? That's such a tough spot to be in. It really, really, really is. I started to come around to the fact that, well, if you're in a super flex, I think like one of the top 6 quarterbacks falls to you. Maybe in the 3rd round, it's worth it. If you're in a 1 quarterback league, I've started to come around to the fact that maybe like Lamar Jackson at the 302 is not a terrible pick if he's still there. At the end of the day, you're not really going to regret taking Lamar Jackson. I'll just take a stud wide receiver if you need to. If all of those running backs you like are off the board, that means that probably one of the good wide receivers has fallen to you. So I'll end up hating it, but I'll end up taking, maybe even Tyreek Hill will fall to you with the hamstring news, but like Chris Godwin there, I really don't hate at like the 210, and then stacking it with a Lamar Jackson at the 302. It's not ideal, but like you're not going to hate it. NYC is a perfect city for dates. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Endless fucking ideas and opportunities here. Yeah, just like people watching, literally. Like that's a date in itself. If you had a daughter, would you name her Margarita? Now that you put the idea in my head, there's like a 90% chance that it's going to be my daughter's name. It's a great name to begin with. Better drink. You need a dog for the brand, all the vlogs you can do. I know. It's like an absolute chick magnet too. You know what's funny? I'll share this with you guys. I probably shouldn't, but actually it's really not that bad. I've said this before, but like Hell's Kitchen, where I live in Manhattan, is the demographic is people my age, but very male heavy, and it's a really, really well known gay area. So a lot of the bars around here are gay bars. And I was walking yesterday. I was just going for a walk, and I stopped on the street corner, and some guy like approached me, and he just like introduced himself. He's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And I knew he was gay, and I knew he was like hitting on me. And he was like, "Do you want to go out? Do you want to go get a drink with me right now?" And like I panic in these moments. I don't really know what to say. I'm not gay, for the people out there. They're asking why the fuck I'm telling the story. So he asked me, and I'm just like, I don't. It's a weird situation to be in. Like, typically, if a girl were to start talking to me, I would just have a normal conversation, you know, and just be a normal human. But this guy's like, "You want to go out for a drink?" And I literally said the most fucking cliche thing of all time. And I felt like such a fucking loser after saying it. I was like, "I'm sorry, man, but you're barking up the wrong tree right now." And he was just like, "Oh, okay." I was just like, "Have a nice day." And I turned around and started walking the other way. I felt like the most awkward fucking human being of all time. I just don't know what to do in those situations. And it's happened to me like quite a few times here in Hell's Kitchen. Do I like just continue talking as a normal person? But like I know what his intentions are. Like how do I nix that conversation? Do I just be like, "Sorry, man"? Like, do I just be like, "I'm going on my way to my girlfriend's house," like just to get the hint? Like, what do I do there? It's a weird fucking situation to be in if you've never been in it. You'd be able to take care of a dog if his name was Marg. Can I name a guy Marg, though? Can I name a guy dog Marg? If I got a girl, damn, you guys are making me want to have a daughter and get a dog. Can you do Lockett versus Chark UFC? We did. New Sports Fan. We literally did. Oh, no, we did Lockett versus Mcfa. No, we can't get Lockett. Doesn't deserve to be back in the ring. I'm pretty sure he got his ass kicked. He might have won. I don't remember. At what point do you know they're barking up your tree? When they have a set of boobs. Say I'm on my way to my girlfriend's house. Yeah, I guess so. I just felt bad. I was like, you know, respect to you for having the car. Like most people won't walk up to someone on the street. Straight people are way too scared to pull off some shit like that. I did take it as a compliment. I was like, I appreciate you approaching me. But like, just, you're barking up the wrong tree, bro. Wear a wedding ring, Nick. Well, I don't want to deter the women. I don't think a wedding ring fits my finger, ever. Maybe he wasn't gay and was just lonely. I mean, possibly. I don't really have an answer, a witty answer for what you just said, Garrett. I'm not going to fucking entertain that, all right? That doesn't deter the women, trust me. Yeah, well, it deters the right women. Any woman that wants to be a homewrecker is actually probably my perfect woman, so maybe I should put a wedding ring on. All right, on that note, I need to stop talking about this shit. It's going to get me fired and canceled. I'm out. This is the Q&A. This was probably the worst Q&A of all time, but maybe you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. I'm going to try to enjoy the rest of my Saturday. If you want to join the Q&A next time, yeah, you did derail me, Marty. If you want to join the Q&A next time, make sure you sign up for Patreon. It's just your street wiring. Patreon.com/BDGE, which will get you access into the Discord, and then you could ask me any annoying questions about wedding rings that you want. That's all I got. With love, enjoy the weekend. We out here.